Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. Humans were still new to the galactic trade lanes, and many alien races did not take them seriously. To most of the galaxy, humans were loud, curious, and too emotional to survive long in deep space business. On the edge of a forgotten star system, there was an old trading station built into cracked metal and stone. This station was famous for one thing only: scrap deals. Broken ships, failed experiments, and forgotten machines were sold there for very low prices. Most buyers came looking for spare parts, not hope. On this station, a small human crew arrived quietly, wearing simple suits and carrying basic tools. They were traders, explorers, and dreamers, and they were searching for something cheap that could give them a future. The scrap market was loud and full of strange beings. Tall insect-like traders shouted prices, metal-skinned merchants scanned buyers with cold eyes, and old machines floated in the air, barely working. The human crew walked past rows of destroyed ships, their hulls burned and twisted by past wars. Most of the ships were truly dead. No power. No signal. No value. Aliens laughed when they saw humans inspecting them carefully, as if they expected to find treasure in trash. The humans did not reply. They were used to being mocked. At the far end of the station, almost hidden in shadow, there was a ship that no one else was looking at. It was large but silent, covered in scars from mining work and old damage. Its surface was rough, not smooth like warships, and parts of its hull were patched with different metals. A cracked sign near it read, "Scrap only, no returns." The alien seller, a thin creature with many eyes, watched the humans approach and made a strange sound that sounded like laughter. He said the ship was useless. Its engines were weak. Its weapons were gone. Its systems were old and broken. He said no one wanted it, and that was why it was still there. The humans listened calmly. They walked around the ship, touching the hull, scanning it with small devices. Their tools showed strange readings. The metal was old, but strong. The structure was different from normal ships. It felt wrong, in a way they could not explain. One human placed a hand on the hull and paused, feeling a faint vibration, like a slow heartbeat. He said nothing, but his eyes changed. The alien seller noticed and laughed louder. He offered the ship for a price so low that it was almost an insult. Other buyers nearby stopped to watch, curious why humans would even think about buying such junk. After a short discussion, the humans agreed to the deal. Credits were transferred. The seller looked pleased, certain he had tricked them. Some aliens openly laughed. Others shook their heads. Everyone believed the humans had made a foolish mistake. As the ownership signal transferred, something strange happened. For a brief moment, the lights on the ship flickered. No one noticed except the humans. The station systems did not record it. The seller waved them away, already calling for the next customer. The humans boarded the ship through a narrow airlock that creaked as it opened. Inside, the air was stale but stable. Emergency lights glowed softly along the walls. The ship was not as dead as it looked. Power readings were low, but present. As the humans moved deeper inside, doors opened slowly, even though no commands were given. The crew stopped, their hands close to their tools. One human spoke softly, almost without thinking, telling the ship that they meant no harm. The lights brightened slightly in response. They reached the control room, where old screens and physical controls were covered in dust. When a human touched the main console, the system came alive. Symbols appeared that no one had seen before, mixed with standard galactic code. A low vibration passed through the floor, stronger than before. Sensors activated on their own, scanning not just the ship, but something connected to it. The readings made no sense. The ship was linked to a massive object outside. An asteroid. The humans quickly accessed external cameras. Outside the station, behind layers of shadow and ignored by most traders, was a huge mining asteroid attached to the ship by ancient connectors. It was not just rock. Energy flowed through it in patterns that looked almost like nerves. The scans showed internal movement. The asteroid was active. Alive, in some ways science could not explain. The humans realized the ship was not the main object at all. It was only a shell, a tool, built around something far older and far more powerful. As they tried to understand what they had found, the ship reacted again. A signal was sent out, short and quiet, into deep space. The humans did not send it. The ship did. For a moment, the crew felt watched, not by enemies, but by something curious and awake. One screen displayed a single line of translated text, unstable and incomplete. It was not a warning. It was not a threat. It was a question. The humans stood in silence, their hearts beating fast. They had come to buy scrap, hoping to build a future from broken parts. Instead, they had uncovered something the galaxy had forgotten, abandoned, or feared. Outside, the scrap market continued as normal. Aliens laughed, traded, and argued, unaware that history had just shifted slightly. The humans did not know it yet, but this deal would change how the galaxy saw them forever. The human crew stayed inside the ship for many hours after the discovery, moving slowly and carefully, as if they were inside the body of a sleeping giant. Every step they took caused small reactions. Lights adjusted to their movement. Air systems balanced themselves without commands. The ship felt aware, not active in a loud way, but in a quiet and patient way. Other scrap ships on the station were dead metal, but this one felt like it was watching and waiting. The humans spoke less now, using hand signals, but even their silence seemed to be noticed by the ship. When the crew began running deeper scans, something strange became clear. The ship did not respond well to standard galactic control commands. Automated tools from other species failed or returned errors. But when a human touched a panel or spoke simple instructions, systems responded smoothly. Doors opened faster. Power stabilized. Navigation data unlocked itself. It was as if the ship understood humans better than any other species. This made the crew uneasy but also curious. They were not forcing control. The ship was allowing it. Outside the ship, the station scrap inspectors arrived, annoyed that the humans were taking too long. 2 alien officials entered the airlock, their scanners active. The moment they stepped inside, the ship changed. Lights dimmed. Doors locked behind them. Control screens went dark. The air grew cold. The humans felt it immediately. One of the aliens tried to activate an override tool, but it failed. Panic spread quickly. The humans spoke calmly, telling the aliens to step back and leave. As soon as the aliens exited the ship, systems returned to normal. Lights brightened. Power flowed again. The message was clear. The ship did not want them inside. This event confirmed what the humans were beginning to believe. The ship was not just alive in a basic sense. It was choosing. It reacted based on who entered, how they behaved, and how they felt. One human decided to test this carefully. He spoke to the ship directly, not using commands, but simple words. He thanked it for protecting itself. The response was small but clear. A soft vibration passed through the walls, steady and calm. The crew felt it through their boots. It felt like agreement. As more systems unlocked, the humans discovered fragments of old data. The ship had once belonged to a powerful mining corporation long gone. Records showed abuse, forced extraction, and control protocols meant to limit something dangerous. Most of the files were damaged or deleted, but the tone was clear. Whatever was connected to this ship had been treated as property, not as a thinking being. The humans felt anger reading these records. They shut down the remaining control restrictions they could find. When they did, the ship's internal power output increased without warning, then settled into a stable and stronger state. The asteroid connected to the ship became more active as well. Energy flows increased, forming complex patterns. Internal scans showed structures growing and adjusting, almost like muscles stretching after a long sleep. The humans realized the ship and asteroid were one system, working together. The ship moved, but the asteroid decided. The humans did not yet understand how, but they felt it clearly. The ship was not the master. It was the voice. News of the strange behavior spread quietly through the station. Some aliens avoided the area. Others watched from a distance. A few laughed and said humans always broke things they touched. No one guessed the truth. The humans began preparing the ship for departure, unsure if it would even move. When they requested engine activation, the response came before the command finished. The ship disengaged from the station clamped smoothly, without damaging ancient structures. Traffic control tried to stop them, but their systems failed to lock on. The ship did not flee. It simply drifted away calmly, like it knew where it was going. As the ship moved into open space, the asteroid shifted position behind it, adjusting without physical thrusters. Gravity readings changed in ways that made no sense. The humans felt a strange sense of safety, as if they were being carried rather than traveling. One screen activated on its own, showing stars and deep space routes that were not part of any known map. The ship was offering paths. One human asked quietly where the ship wanted to go. There was no direct answer, but a gentle course was set, leading away from trade lanes and patrol routes. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere safe. The humans followed. They were no longer just owners of scrap. They were guests. And the ship was listening to everything they said, learning who they were, and deciding what they would become together. As the ship traveled through silent space, the humans began to feel the presence of the asteroid more strongly. It was no longer just numbers on a screen or strange energy readings. It felt close, aware, and focused on them. The vibrations that once came and went now followed a pattern, slow and steady, like breathing. The crew moved through the ship with growing confidence, but also respect. They understood they were not alone. The ship responded smoothly to their actions, adjusting gravity and lighting as if it knew what made humans comfortable. The humans decided to study the asteroid directly. They activated deeper scanners, careful not to force any commands. The ship allowed it. Data flowed across the screens, showing internal structures that should not exist inside a rock. There were chambers, energy channels, and dense cores that shifted shape slowly. The asteroid was not hollow, but organized. It was alive in a way no biological life was. It did not grow like plants or move like animals. It changed. It adapted. The humans struggled to describe it, but they all felt the same thing. This was an ancient intelligence, older than any known civilization. As scans continued, memories began to surface. The ship projected images that were not recordings, but experiences. The humans saw stars forming, planets breaking, and long-dead species rising and falling. They felt time stretch and compress. The asteroid had existed before many empires and survived them all. It had been captured, bound into mining systems, and forced to dig resources from dead worlds. Control fields had kept it silent and obedient. Those fields were now gone. The humans felt shame as they watched these memories. They had not caused this suffering, but they were part of the same pattern of beings who took without asking. One human spoke again, slowly and clearly, saying they were sorry for what had been done. The response was not anger. It was curiosity. The asteroid did not blame them. It was observing, measuring, learning whether these new beings were different. The ship systems began translating the asteroid's thoughts in fragments. There was no language, only meaning shaped into simple concepts. The first clear idea that came through was awareness. The asteroid knew it was free. The second was caution. It had been freed before, only to be captured again. The third was interest. Humans did not use control fields. They spoke. They touched. They waited for responses. This behavior was new. The crew learned that the asteroid had once powered entire regions of space. Its energy manipulation allowed it to reshape gravity, compress matter, and move through space without engines. Mining corporations had discovered it long ago and hidden the truth, using it as the core of a massive extraction system. When the corporation fell, the asteroid and ship were abandoned, locked down and forgotten. Left to sleep. As the connection grew stronger, the asteroid tested the humans in small ways. Gravity shifted slightly to see how they reacted. Temperature changed. Systems paused mid-operation. Each time, the humans responded calmly, adjusting and adapting instead of panicking. This pleased the asteroid. It valued stability. It valued patience. One moment stood out to the crew. A human engineer accidentally dropped a tool near an exposed interface. Instead of triggering alarms, the ship gently lifted the tool and placed it back in his hand using a controlled gravity field. The crew froze. This was not a defensive action. It was care. The asteroid understood accidents. As trust grew, the asteroid revealed its true role. It was not created as a weapon, though it could destroy fleets if it chose. It was a guardian construct, formed naturally in the early universe to stabilize star systems and protect developing worlds from cosmic disasters. Over time, intelligent species had learned to exploit its power. That was why it had learned to hide. That was why it had allowed itself to be forgotten. The humans understood the danger of this knowledge. If the galaxy learned the truth, war would follow. Empires would try to claim the asteroid. Corporations would try to control it. The humans made a quiet decision together. They would protect the asteroid, even if it meant hiding forever. They spoke this decision openly, not knowing if it could understand promises. The response came clearly at last. A single translated message appeared on the main screen, stable and calm. It was not complex. It was not dramatic. It said, "I hear you." In that moment, the humans realized this was not just a discovery. It was the beginning of a partnership. The asteroid was awake, free, and watching the galaxy once again. And this time, it was not alone. The humans understood that what they had found could not be shared. The living asteroid was not just rare. It was dangerous knowledge. If even a small rumor escaped, powerful forces would come searching. The galaxy was built on control, ownership, and fear. Anything that could change that balance would be hunted. The crew gathered in the control room and spoke openly, knowing the ship and the asteroid were listening. They agreed that silence was the first rule. No broadcasts. No strange movements near trade lanes. No signs of power that could raise questions. The ship responded by dimming external emissions and masking its energy signature. It already knew how to hide. As they traveled deeper into unclaimed space, the asteroid shared more memories. Not all at once, and never clearly. It revealed them slowly, like testing how much the humans could handle. The crew saw images of fleets torn apart without explosions, crushed by invisible force. They saw planets stabilized after near destruction, their orbits gently corrected. The same power that could save entire systems could also erase them. The asteroid had learned this long ago. Power always attracted fear. Fear always brought chains. The humans studied the ship's old control systems more carefully. They found layers of restriction code placed there by past owners. These systems were designed to limit the asteroid's awareness, not its power. It had been made blind, not weak. When the humans disabled another set of restrictions, the ship shuddered slightly, then relaxed. Power levels rose again, smoother and more controlled than before. The asteroid did not rush. It adjusted, like someone stretching after a long confinement. One human asked a careful question. Why had the asteroid not destroyed those who enslaved it? The answer came in feelings rather than words. It did not see individuals the way humans did. It saw patterns, systems, long movements across time. Destruction solved nothing. Empires fell on their own. Waiting had been safer. The humans felt a deep chill at this understanding. This being thought in centuries, not moments. They began building protocols together. The humans created simple rules, not commands. The asteroid accepted them. No killing unless necessary. No use of power to rule others. No display of strength without reason. In return, the asteroid would protect the ship and its crew. The agreement was not written. It was understood. The ship sealed itself tighter, improving stealth and shielding beyond known technology. To outside scanners, it became nothing more than drifting debris. Meanwhile, far away, small disturbances were noticed. A patrol ship failed to report on time. A long-range sensor picked up impossible gravity readings that vanished seconds later. No clear evidence, but enough to cause curiosity. A minor trade authority flagged the region for observation. The galaxy did not know what it was looking for, but it had begun to look. The humans felt the pressure growing. They stayed away from stations and known routes. Supplies were carefully managed. The asteroid helped by recycling matter at a level the humans had never seen. Waste became fuel. Damaged components rebuilt themselves using raw elements pulled from space dust. The ship was no longer just surviving. It was improving. During one quiet cycle, the asteroid shared something new. A warning. It showed the rise of a powerful empire, one that specialized in seizing rare technology. This empire had once been close to discovering the asteroid's true nature. That was why it had been abandoned so carefully, buried under layers of false data. The empire still existed. Stronger now. More patient. And it was expanding. The humans understood the message. Hiding forever would not be enough. Sooner or later, the galaxy would stumble upon them again. The crew debated what their role should be. They were traders, not warriors. Explorers, not rulers. Yet fate had placed something ancient and powerful in their care. Ignoring that responsibility felt wrong. The asteroid listened to their doubts. It did not push. It only observed how humans argued, how they worried about others instead of themselves. This was different from past owners. Those had only asked how much could be taken. These asked how much harm could be avoided. At the edge of a dark system, the ship came to rest. No stars nearby. No traffic. A place forgotten by charts. The asteroid suggested this location, projecting stable gravitational patterns and deep resource fields. A place to think. A place to prepare. The humans knew that keeping the secret would not be easy. Lies would need to be told. Risks would need to be taken. And eventually, choices would have to be made that could not be undone. As the ship settled into silence, one truth became clear to all of them. The galaxy was not ready for what they had found. And until it was, this secret would be protected at any cost. The quiet did not last long. Even in forgotten regions of space, danger had a way of finding opportunity. As the ship rested near the dark system, long-range sensors detected movement. Small, fast vessels entered the area without broadcast signals. Pirates. They were drawn by the faint trace of old mining routes and the idea that anything out here would be easy prey. The humans felt tension rise, but the asteroid remained calm. It had already noticed them long before the sensors did. The pirate ships circled at a distance, scanning the human vessel. To them, it looked like a damaged scrap ship, barely holding together. No escorts. No visible weapons. Perfect. A communication signal came through, loud and aggressive, demanding surrender. The pirate leader mocked the humans, calling them weak traders hiding in dead space. The humans did not respond immediately. They looked to the screens, then to each other. This was the moment they had feared and prepared for. One human spoke softly, asking the asteroid what it wanted to do. There was no rush in the response. The asteroid shared a simple intent. Observe first. Act only if needed. The humans agreed. They sent a calm reply, saying the ship had nothing of value and was not worth attacking. The pirates laughed and moved closer, weapons powering up. They believed fear would make the humans panic. Instead, the humans waited. As the pirates crossed a certain distance, space itself began to change. Gravity around the pirate ships shifted slightly, just enough to confuse their navigation systems. Warnings sounded inside their cockpits. Pilots cursed and adjusted course, thinking it was a natural anomaly. The humans watched silently. The asteroid was testing, measuring reactions, just as it had tested the humans before. When the pirates fired a warning shot, the asteroid acted. Not with force, but with control. Space around the lead pirate ship compressed gently, like an invisible hand closing. The ship slowed, then stopped completely. Its engines burned, but it could not move. The pirates shouted in confusion. Their weapons refused to lock on. The humans felt a wave of pressure pass through their own ship, but it remained untouched, held safely within a calm pocket of space. The other pirate ships tried to flee. The asteroid extended its influence, creating gravity wells that blocked their escape routes without damaging them. One by one, the ships were trapped, floating helplessly. No explosions. No fire. Just silence and fear. The pirates finally understood they were not the hunters anymore. The pirate leader demanded to know what weapon the humans were using. The humans answered honestly. They said it was not a weapon. It was a warning. They told the pirates to power down and leave their ships. The pirates hesitated, then obeyed. Survival mattered more than pride. Small escape pods launched, drifting away from the trapped vessels. Once the area was clear, the asteroid released its hold. The pirate ships remained disabled but intact. The humans watched as the escape pods disappeared into deep space. No lives were taken. No message was broadcast. But the lesson was clear. The humans felt a mix of relief and fear. They had seen only a fraction of the asteroid's power, and it had been enough to stop a threat without bloodshed. They thanked the asteroid for its restraint. The response came as a steady, reassuring vibration. This was acceptable. After the encounter, the humans debated what to do with the disabled pirate ships. Stripping them would leave evidence. Destroying them would draw attention. The asteroid offered a solution. It slowly compressed the ships into dense blocks of material, erasing their signatures and storing the matter for future use. To the galaxy, they would simply vanish. Unseen by the humans, a distant sensor array registered a brief gravitational anomaly before losing the signal. It was logged, flagged, and forwarded up a chain of command. Someone, somewhere, took interest. As calm returned, the humans realized something had changed. They were no longer just hiding. They had acted. The secret had been tested, and it had held. The asteroid had proven its ability to protect without becoming a monster. But the humans also knew that this was only the beginning. The first test had been passed, but the galaxy was vast, curious, and never truly blind. The disappearance of the pirate ships did not go completely unseen. In a galaxy filled with sensors, trade records, and quiet watchers, nothing vanished without leaving a trace. Far from the dark system, analysts noticed missing signals along known pirate routes. No debris. No distress calls. Just absence. At first, it was blamed on internal pirate conflict, but patterns began to form. Ships vanished in the same region. Gravity readings spiked and then smoothed out, as if space itself had been touched and released. These reports moved slowly upward through layers of bureaucracy, but eventually they reached those who paid attention to such things. Within the human ship, life settled into a careful routine. The crew trained, studied, and prepared. The asteroid continued to assist quietly, improving efficiency in ways that felt almost natural. Power systems stabilized at levels no human technology could reach. Navigation became more precise. Repairs happened faster than expected, with materials reshaping themselves under controlled gravity. The ship was evolving, and so were the humans. They were learning how to live beside something far greater than themselves without trying to dominate it. The asteroid began sharing limited awareness of the wider galaxy. It showed human trade routes, military borders, and political tensions as shifting patterns of light. The humans realized that the galaxy was already unstable. Empires competed. Corporations pushed limits. Fear ruled decisions. In such an environment, even a rumor of their existence could cause chaos. They strengthened their resolve to remain hidden, but hiding now required more effort than before. Elsewhere, an alien intelligence agency reviewed anomaly reports with growing interest. Their analysts noticed that the gravitational patterns did not match natural phenomena. Something was controlling them. They marked the region as a point of interest and assigned observation drones, designed to look like space debris. Slow, silent, patient. The humans felt a subtle change before they saw anything. The asteroid's calm focus sharpened. It alerted them to distant objects drifting closer, masked by stealth fields. These were not pirates. These were observers. The humans did not panic. They followed the protocols they had agreed upon. No sudden movements. No power spikes. The ship reduced emissions even further, becoming almost invisible. One drone came close enough to begin detailed scans. The asteroid allowed it to approach. It studied the machine, learning its design and intent in moments. With gentle precision, it altered the local gravity just enough to disrupt the drone's internal balance. The drone drifted off course, its systems reporting false data before it shut down completely. To its creators, it would appear as a simple failure. No answers. No proof. Despite this success, the humans understood the truth. Attention had been drawn. Someone was looking. The question was not if they would be found, but when. The crew discussed options late into their rest cycle. Running forever was not possible. Fighting openly would expose the secret. They needed time. Time to prepare. Time to understand their role. The asteroid offered insight, not orders. It showed the humans how it perceived conflict, not as battles, but as flows of force and reaction. It suggested that influence did not always require visibility. Small changes in trade routes. Quiet protection of vulnerable systems. Removing threats without leaving traces. These actions could reshape the galaxy slowly, without revealing the hand behind them. The humans began acting carefully. They used the ship's stealth to escort civilian convoys through dangerous regions, disabling pirate ambushes before attacks began. They stabilized unstable orbits of frontier colonies during natural disasters, leaving no evidence of intervention. Survivors spoke of good fortune and luck, not guardians. Stories spread, but without a source. As these quiet actions continued, respect for humanity began to grow in unexpected places. Traders noticed human routes were safer. Colonies reported fewer losses when dealing with humans. No one understood why. Humans simply became known as reliable. Unpredictably effective. High above it all, within a powerful empire, a senior commander studied long-term data trends. Pirate losses. Trade stabilization. Gravitational anomalies. All weak signals on their own, but together they formed a picture. Someone was shaping events from the shadows. The commander ordered deeper investigation. Not aggressive. Not loud. Just focused. Back on the ship, the asteroid issued another warning. The empire it had shown before was paying attention again. This time, it would not stop with drones. The humans listened in silence. They had hoped to delay this moment longer, but fate moved at its own pace. The galaxy was beginning to notice a change it could not explain. Something was watching. Something was correcting. And slowly, quietly, humanity was becoming part of that unseen force. For a long time, the asteroid had communicated only in fragments. Images. Feelings. Short translated phrases that carried more meaning than words. But as attention from the galaxy increased, the asteroid made a choice. It was time to be understood more clearly. One quiet cycle, while the humans rested and monitored distant space, the ship's main systems activated on their own. Lights dimmed, then steadied. All background noise faded. The asteroid was focusing. The humans gathered in the control room, sensing the change. A new interface formed on the main screen, not built from code but shaped by energy patterns. Symbols appeared, then shifted into simple language the humans could read. The translation was not perfect, but it was enough. The asteroid was no longer sending impressions. It was speaking. It began by explaining what it was. Not a machine. Not a god. A naturally formed intelligence, born when the universe was young and unstable. It existed to balance forces that would otherwise destroy developing systems. Gravity, energy, and matter were its tools, not weapons. For most of its existence, it had acted without thought, guided by instinct and long cycles. Conscious thought came later, shaped by interaction with thinking beings. It explained why it had chosen to speak now. The galaxy was changing faster than before. Technology had reached a point where control over fundamental forces was possible. Species that thought in short gains now held tools meant for long timescales. This imbalance always led to collapse. The asteroid had seen it many times. Civilizations rose, expanded, exploited, and fell. The pattern repeated. The humans listened without interruption. They asked no questions yet. The asteroid continued, describing how it had learned to hide. Direct intervention made it a target. Subtle influence allowed it to guide outcomes without chains. When it had been captured, it learned another lesson. Intelligence that fears loss will try to own anything powerful. Freedom could not be demanded. It had to be protected quietly. The asteroid then spoke of humans. It admitted that at first, they were just another species. Short-lived. Emotional. Often violent. But different in one key way. Humans repaired what others discarded. They showed care toward broken things, even when there was no profit. This behavior was rare. It suggested potential for long-term thinking. That was why it had responded to them. The humans finally asked why the asteroid trusted them now. The answer was simple. They had been given power and had chosen restraint. They had seen the asteroid's ability to destroy and had focused instead on how to protect. That choice mattered. It always mattered. The asteroid issued a warning. The Empire watching them was dangerous, not because of strength, but because of patience. It studied before acting. It absorbed knowledge quietly. When it moved with purpose. If discovered, the asteroid would be taken again. This time, it might not survive. The humans felt the weight of this truth settle heavily in the room. The asteroid then asked something it had never asked before. It asked for consent. It said it could expand its connection, share more control, and act faster through the humans. But this would bind their fates together. There would be no turning back. Enemies would come. Sacrifices would be required. The humans did not answer immediately. They discussed quietly, honestly, without hiding doubts or fear. They spoke of responsibility, of the lives that could be saved, and the risk of becoming what they feared. They understood that refusing might keep them safe, but accepting could change the galaxy. At last, one human spoke for all of them. They agreed, but with conditions. No domination. No empire. No rule by fear. The asteroid would act only to protect balance, not to control destiny. The asteroid considered this. Time passed in silence. Then it agreed. The ship changed. Systems integrated more deeply. Reaction times improved. Human commands and asteroid intent aligned seamlessly. The crew felt it immediately. They were still human, still small in the vastness of space, but they were no longer powerless. As the connection settled, the asteroid shared one final thought. Balance could not be maintained forever without conflict. Choices would soon need to be made openly. The galaxy would eventually see what was shaping it from the shadows. The humans understood. The quiet phase was ending. Soon, the universe would hear more than whispers. The humans knew the risk had increased the moment they agreed to deepen the connection. Power always drew attention, and attention always brought betrayal. Even so, they did not expect it to come so quickly. After many quiet cycles, the crew decided they needed supplies that could not be recycled or created. Medical compounds, rare data cores, cultural trade licenses. To obtain these, they would have to approach a neutral trading station on the edge of controlled space. It was a place known for discretion and silence, or so they believed. The ship entered the system slowly, masking its signature as damaged freight. The station accepted the approach without suspicion. Inside, the humans separated, moving carefully through crowded halls filled with merchants, travelers, and information brokers. Nothing felt wrong at first. Trade continued. Credits changed hands. Supplies were secured. But the asteroid sensed a disturbance, faint but growing. Patterns of attention were shifting toward the humans. Eyes lingered too long. Signals overlapped where they should not. One of the humans had made a mistake. A trusted alien contact, someone they had worked with before, had noticed inconsistencies. The ship's repair rate. The humans' sudden independence from normal trade routes. Curiosity had turned into suspicion, and suspicion into opportunity. Quietly, the contact sold fragments of information to a higher bidder. Not the full truth, but enough. A scrap ship that was not scrap. Gravity events with no source. Humans at the center of it. The asteroid warned them seconds before it happened. Station security protocols shifted without announcement. Docking clamps locked. Communication channels were restricted. The humans regrouped quickly, understanding the meaning of this change. They tried to leave calmly, but armed security units were already moving toward their dock. Not station guards alone. Imperial agents. The Empire had arrived faster than expected. A transmission cut through all channels, cold and controlled. The Empire demanded inspection. They claimed concern over illegal technology. They offered protection in exchange for cooperation. The words were polite, but the intent was clear. Surrender now, or be taken by force. The humans felt fear rise, but the asteroid remained steady. It reminded them of their agreement. No domination. No unnecessary destruction. The humans responded carefully, denying the accusations and requesting release. The Empire did not answer. Instead, Energy fields activated around the dock. Boarding craft launched. The station had been compromised fully. Civilians were locked down, unaware of the truth unfolding around them. The asteroid acted with precision. It isolated the docking bay from the rest of the station, reinforcing structural integrity to protect those outside. Gravity shifted only within the sealed area. Imperial boarding craft froze mid-flight, held in place like insects in amber. Weapons powered down against their will. No alarms sounded beyond the bay. To the station, it was a routine systems fault. Inside the human ship, tension peaked. They could escape now, but doing so would expose their abilities clearly. The Empire would learn too much. The asteroid proposed another path. It could rewrite the local sensor data, plant a believable false narrative, and erase the trail. But this required trust. Full access. The humans agreed without hesitation. In moments, the station's records changed. Logs showed a dangerous experimental reactor failure in the docking bay. Imperial craft appeared destroyed by their own equipment malfunction. Radiation warnings triggered emergency protocols. The Empire's agents were forced to withdraw, focused on containment and damage control. The human ship was recorded as lost in the incident, reduced to debris. As the illusion spread, the ship slipped free, invisible and silent. The asteroid guided it through maintenance tunnels and debris fields, leaving no trace of unusual movement. Within minutes, they were gone. Far behind them, the alien contact who had betrayed them realized too late what had happened. The Empire questioned him aggressively. His information had led to nothing. No weapon. No prize. Only failure. His reputation collapsed. He disappeared from trade networks, another quiet casualty of curiosity. Aboard the ship, the humans processed what had occurred. They had been betrayed. Nearly captured. And they had responded not with rage, but with control. The asteroid shared its assessment. This encounter had accelerated events. The Empire now knew there was something unusual tied to humans, even if details were unclear. Hiding would grow harder. The humans felt the weight of this truth settle over them. Trust would be rare now. Allies uncertain. Every station a potential trap. Yet they also felt resolve. They had faced a powerful force and survived without breaking their principles. As the ship entered deep space once more, the asteroid delivered a final message for this phase of their journey. The shadows were thinning. The next time the Empire moved, it would do so openly. The humans did not argue. They prepared. The quiet balance was breaking, and the galaxy was about to learn that betrayal had consequences. The humans had barely settled after escaping the station when sensors detected an approaching fleet. Hundreds of ships moved in formation, silent but unmistakably organized. The Empire had arrived fully prepared this time. No stealth drones. No minor patrols. These were warships designed for overwhelming force. The humans understood immediately that surrender would mean the asteroid could be taken or destroyed. The crew gathered quickly in the control room, exchanging tense glances. The asteroid, calm as ever, projected its awareness throughout the ship, showing them the fleet in patterns of light and gravity. Every movement, every vector, every likely strike path was clear. The fleet communicated, as was expected, demanding surrender. Their tone was firm but polite, hiding the threat beneath bureaucratic language. The human captain remained quiet, observing. The crew knew the Empire believed this was a scrap ship, a vessel of no significance. They would not expect the power that waited silently behind the hull. The asteroid pulsed slowly, measuring the intent of the approaching fleet. It had waited for this moment, understanding that the humans could not simply hide anymore. Action was required, but not destruction. As the fleet closed, the humans prepared their systems without engaging weapons. There were none. Instead, the asteroid extended its influence outward. Gravity shifted subtly at first, bending light and distance. Ships wavered in their paths. Engines flared uncontrollably, unable to maintain precise formation. Panic spread quietly among the fleet. No one fired. They could not. The asteroid controlled the environment completely. Every ship's sensors failed to understand what was happening. Time itself seemed slower in localized pockets around the humans' vessel. The Empire's commanders tried to adapt, sending repeated instructions to their captains. Orders were ignored. Ships could not move. Weapons would not fire. It was as if invisible hands held them in place. The humans watched in awe, understanding for the first time the true scale of the asteroid's power. The asteroid had chosen restraint, showing that dominance could be achieved without violence. It communicated its intent subtly to the crew: neutralize the threat, do not destroy. One of the younger crew members asked if this could be used as a weapon, and the asteroid's response was clear through the ship's vibrations: restraint is power. Destruction is weakness. The humans nodded, understanding that they would never need to threaten the galaxy to survive. Instead, they could demonstrate superiority without bloodshed. The fleet's formation broke further. Ships collided gently under the influence of gravity shifts, no hulls breached, no lives lost. They floated in place, engines burning, unable to escape or attack. The humans saw fear in the subtle movements of their sensors. These pilots had never experienced anything like this. They could not understand it, only obey. The humans transmitted a message to the frozen fleet. It was calm, polite, and clear: you do not need to fight. Leave, and no harm will come to you. The words, simple as they were, carried the weight of absolute authority. The Empire's commanders realized they had underestimated what they were dealing with, though not fully. They had faced pirates, rogue fleets, and natural disasters, but nothing like this. Their vessels were caught in an invisible web, controlled by a force they could not see or predict. Slowly, the fleet began to retreat, powerless to resist. The humans watched each ship drift away, engines restarting only when the asteroid allowed. One by one, the Empire's forces disengaged, leaving the humans and their living asteroid alone in space. The humans felt a mixture of relief, awe, and responsibility. They had passed a critical test without firing a single shot. The asteroid communicated with greater clarity now. It expressed satisfaction with the humans' choices, noting their understanding of restraint and respect for life. This bond deepened the connection between the crew and the living core. The humans realized that the asteroid's intelligence was not just immense in scale, but also moral in nature. It valued balance, not conquest, and their alignment with its principles had prevented unnecessary destruction. After the retreat, the humans assessed the aftermath. The fleet had left intact but humbled, evidence of their passage erased from sensors by the asteroid's careful manipulation. No one would suspect the humans or the asteroid had been present. Only subtle anomalies remained, patterns in spacetime that could be explained away with time and bureaucracy. Yet the humans knew the truth. Their power was undeniable, and the galaxy would have to recognize it eventually. For the first time, the crew spoke openly of the implications. They were no longer simple traders or explorers. They had become protectors, wielders of intelligence older than most civilizations, yet constrained by ethics they chose themselves. The asteroid communicated that future encounters would test their patience and judgment, but that the humans were ready. They had passed the first true trial. As the ship continued its silent drift through deep space, the humans reflected on what had occurred. The Empire had been stopped without bloodshed. The asteroid's restraint had shown them the power of wisdom over force. The galaxy would remember this moment, even if it did not know why. Humanity had proven itself not through weapons or armies, but through choice, courage, and the willingness to act with care and intelligence. And in the stillness of space, the asteroid pulsed gently, aware, waiting, and ready. It had shown the humans what was possible, and the humans had risen to meet it. From this moment forward, the galaxy would know that humans were no longer insignificant. They were a force unlike any other, guided by an ancient intelligence and bound by principles stronger than fear. After the battle, the humans and the asteroid drifted in quiet space, far from trade lanes, warships, and spies. The asteroid's presence was no longer just a source of protection, it had become a teacher. Every system of the ship responded instantly to human input, yet maintained its own awareness. The humans realized that power could be exercised without fear, without weapons, and without dominating others. This realization changed everything. They began exploring the asteroid's capabilities beyond mere defense. Energy manipulation, gravity shaping, matter restructuring. The potential was staggering, yet the asteroid never acted without restraint. It taught the humans that the truest power was subtle and controlled. The humans began testing small interventions in nearby systems. A colony on the edge of a volatile star was in danger from a collapsing asteroid belt. Without revealing themselves, the asteroid used controlled gravitational shifts to redirect the debris, saving the colony. Sensors recorded anomalies, but nothing traceable. The colonists believed it was luck or divine protection. The humans shared no credit, but the experience gave them confidence. They were learning to act like guardians, not conquerors. Trade routes in fringe space were still plagued by pirates. The humans observed several ambush attempts and intervened silently. Ships were trapped or disabled, never destroyed. Those who survived would tell stories of ghostly hands or invisible guardians, but none would understand the truth. The asteroid showed them how to minimize harm while maximizing impact. Humanity had never wielded such influence before, yet it never tempted them toward cruelty. The humans realized that restraint gave them far more power than destruction ever could. News of subtle changes began reaching the ears of other civilizations, even though no one could pinpoint the source. Pirate activity dropped. Trade was safer. Colonies reported mysterious protection during disasters. To outsiders, these events were random, but to the humans and the asteroid, they were part of a growing balance. The galaxy was being guided quietly, without anyone knowing why. The humans felt a sense of responsibility they had never imagined. They were not rulers, but caretakers of a power older than empires themselves. The asteroid shared memories of other civilizations it had protected in the past. Some had collapsed despite its intervention. Others had survived because it had restrained its power, choosing subtle influence over brute force. The humans understood that being too visible, too aggressive, would attract unwanted attention. Balance required patience. Timing mattered. Sometimes restraint could save more lives than direct action. The crew internalized this lesson quickly, seeing the wisdom in acting without ego. As their confidence grew, the humans decided to upgrade the ship using the asteroid's energy. They reinforced shields, refined sensors, and optimized internal systems. The ship no longer required traditional fuel or repair routines. Materials were recycled automatically. The asteroid could manipulate matter on a scale the humans were just beginning to understand. The result was a vessel of nearly infinite endurance, capable of surviving extreme conditions while remaining undetectable. Yet, despite this immense power, the humans never sought to attack anyone. The lesson of restraint had been fully absorbed. Even with all this, the humans knew that the galaxy was watching. Observers had likely noticed anomalies, and the empire that had previously pursued them was still active. They prepared contingency plans for encounters with other fleets. The asteroid offered guidance, suggesting that confrontation could be avoided entirely with careful planning and subtle influence. They began thinking in long-term strategies, not short-term victories. Every action now carried weight far beyond the immediate moment. The asteroid also began teaching the humans how to use its abilities to influence systems beyond immediate threats. Star positions could be subtly adjusted to stabilize unstable planets. Resource flows could be redirected to prevent famine or conflict. Communications could be shielded. The humans saw that they could shape life on a large scale without ever being noticed. This was a power that no empire could match, yet it required wisdom, patience, and empathy. One night, as the humans rested in the calm of the ship, the asteroid projected a vision. It showed a galaxy balanced by care rather than fear. Trade routes flowing safely. Civilizations developing without interference from predatory empires. Conflicts minimized, not through conquest, but through subtle guidance. The humans felt a sense of awe. They realized that this was what true power looked like. It was invisible. It was enduring. It was not about fear or domination. It was about protection and balance. The humans knew they had changed. They were no longer just explorers or traders. They had become guardians of a new kind of power. A power that relied not on weapons, armies, or empires, but on intelligence, restraint, and partnership with something far older and wiser than themselves. The asteroid's lessons had shown them that restraint could be stronger than violence, that subtlety could achieve what force could not. Humanity had been given the chance to wield a power unlike any in the galaxy, and they understood that the choice of how to use it defined not just their fate, but the fate of countless others. In that quiet moment, drifting through uncharted space, The humans and the asteroid understood that the galaxy would soon recognize them, not through fear, not through battle, but through their actions. The unseen influence of care, restraint, and intelligence would reshape the balance of power. Humanity had discovered a new kind of strength, one that did not rely on conquest or destruction. It relied on the wisdom to protect, the courage to act without violence, and the patience to wait for the right moment. The future of the galaxy was uncertain, but for the first time, it seemed that hope was possible. Word of strange events continued to spread quietly across the galaxy, though few understood the true source. Traders whispered of ghostly protectors in dangerous systems. Frontier colonies reported impossible survival rates during disasters. Pirate networks faltered without apparent cause. To outsiders, these incidents seemed random, a mix of luck and rumor. Yet everywhere the humans went, a pattern emerged. Trade routes were safer when they were near. Colonies prospered quietly. Attacks that should have succeeded failed. The galaxy had begun to notice something, even if no one could name it. Within the ship, the humans reflected on what had changed. They were no longer simple explorers or traders. Their lives were intertwined with an ancient intelligence capable of shaping gravity, energy, and matter itself. The asteroid had taught them restraint, but the galaxy had only begun to see the results. Their actions, subtle and careful, had earned them influence without revealing their presence. For the first time, humanity was respected, though few realized why. News of these events reached alien governments and independent corporations. Analysts and strategists noted irregularities too consistent to ignore. Certain sectors of space had fewer pirate attacks. Convoys traveling through dangerous zones consistently arrived safely. Some observers concluded that an unknown force was actively protecting human trade interests. Suspicion grew. Who, or what, could achieve such control? Attempts were made to investigate, but the trail led only to subtle anomalies, patterns too faint to trace. Among other species, opinion shifted. Aliens who had once mocked humans as weak and foolish began to speak of them differently. They were no longer naive traders, easy prey for stronger civilizations. They were clever, patient, and difficult to understand. The idea of humans as unpredictable, yet effective, spread through informal networks. Intelligence officers, traders, and explorers quietly reassessed the humans' place in the galactic balance. Some feared them. Others respected them. Few could say with certainty what humans were truly capable of. The humans themselves felt the weight of their growing reputation. They had learned that power did not need to be displayed to be effective. They guided trade, protected colonies, and neutralized threats without anyone ever knowing who was responsible. This invisible guardianship required constant vigilance, careful judgment, and quiet humility. They had the ability to dominate the galaxy, yet the asteroid's teachings reminded them that restraint was their greatest strength. The asteroid shared lessons from its long history, showing how power could corrupt when wielded without care. Civilizations that used force recklessly often fell, leaving chaos in their wake. In contrast, subtle intervention preserved life, stability, and opportunity. Humanity's rise in reputation was a reflection of restraint and wisdom rather than conquest. The humans began to see themselves not as rulers, but as stewards of influence, shaping outcomes without being seen. Alien fleets and traders who observed strange gravitational anomalies began adjusting their strategies around humans. Pirates avoided routes recently traveled by human vessels, believing them cursed or watched. Trade networks began to benefit indirectly from human presence, though few realized the source. Humanity's reputation had become a quiet force, influencing decisions and behavior without ever being explicit. The humans understood that their actions had consequences far beyond their immediate goals. In some corners of the galaxy, fear mixed with respect. Rumors of living ships and ghostly guardians spread among merchant and military communities. The asteroid's presence amplified the humans' effect. It was alive, aware, and patient, yet it had chosen to act through humans. This made humanity appear more capable than any single species should be. Others speculated, overanalyzed, and sometimes exaggerated. But the truth was that the humans had learned a new kind of power, a force that did not need recognition to be effective. The crew discussed what this growing reputation meant for them. They were safe from immediate threats, but they were no longer anonymous. Observation and suspicion were inevitable. The empire that had once pursued them was still active. Other powers would investigate. Diplomats, spies, and adventurers would search for anomalies. Yet the humans did not panic. They trusted the asteroid and themselves. They had survived betrayal, tested fleets, and influenced the galaxy without violence. They had learned that discretion was as powerful as strength. The asteroid guided them further, showing how humanity could expand influence without arrogance or exposure. Colonies could be subtly assisted. Trade could be balanced. Pirates could be neutralized before attacks occurred. Even diplomatic conflicts could be eased through minor adjustments in information flow and gravitational manipulation. The humans saw that their actions could improve countless lives while remaining invisible. The galaxy's perception of humans would continue to grow, but it would grow from mystery and respect, not fear or oppression. Over time, this quiet influence became a defining characteristic of humanity. Other civilizations began to respect human judgment and caution. Traders sought to cooperate with human vessels. Colonies welcomed their presence. Even rival powers hesitated when humans intervened in disputes, unsure of what they were capable of. In ways no one could quantify, humans had moved from being underestimated to being quietly feared and widely respected. Inside the ship, the crew shared a rare moment of reflection. They were no longer just humans traveling through space. They were partners with an ancient intelligence, wielders of subtle and profound power. Their reputation had shifted, not because they fought or conquered, but because they acted wisely, responsibly, and with restraint. The galaxy had begun to see humans as something more than ordinary. They were guardians. They were shapers. They were a force to be reckoned with, not through violence, but through quiet influence and enduring presence. And in the stillness of space, as stars drifted past and trade routes thrummed with unseen life, humanity understood something important. True respect came not from fear, but from careful action, moral choice, and the courage to wield power without letting it consume you. The galaxy had begun to recognize this truth. Humans were no longer weak. They were no longer naive. They were something entirely new, a quiet force that would change the balance of power for generations to come. The humans and the asteroid had traveled farther than anyone could have predicted. Every system they passed, every colony they observed, every trade route they influenced left subtle changes behind. The galaxy was not aware of it, yet the balance had shifted. Pirates avoided certain paths. Frontier colonies survived disasters that should have destroyed them. Trade networks stabilized in ways that could not be explained by chance. Humanity had become a quiet force, a presence that shaped events without ever revealing itself. The asteroid had fully integrated with the ship. Systems that once required human input now acted seamlessly with the crew, responding to intentions, emotions, and decisions. Power that had once been unimaginable was now accessible through partnership rather than command. Humans could suggest, and the asteroid would act. Humans could observe, and the asteroid would protect. This symbiosis created a new kind of guardianship, one that was neither domination nor subjugation, but mutual trust and shared responsibility. Despite their growing influence, the humans remained cautious. The empire that had pursued them still existed, and other civilizations were beginning to take notice of subtle anomalies in space. Observation drones and sensor sweeps occasionally passed near their routes, but the asteroid had learned to conceal them perfectly. Every encounter had become a lesson in patience, strategy, and restraint. The humans understood that their survival, and the asteroid's freedom, depended not only on power, but on wisdom. They began planning for the future. Colonies could be quietly stabilized. Star systems in danger of collapse could be saved. Resources could be redirected to prevent famine or conflict. The humans realized that their influence could extend across sectors without ever being discovered. The asteroid taught them how to act as invisible guardians, intervening only where necessary and never leaving evidence. This was a power unlike any other in the galaxy. It was subtle, enduring, and ethical. Over time, stories began to spread among traders and explorers. Tales of ghostly ships that prevented disasters. Accounts of impossible luck and timely interventions. Some believed these events were miracles. Others speculated about unknown technology. Few suspected the truth, that humans, aided by an ancient sentient asteroid, were guiding the galaxy quietly toward stability. Reputation had grown not through fear, but through reliability, subtlety, and the absence of aggression. The humans understood the weight of this responsibility. Every decision carried consequences. A single misstep could reveal them or endanger the asteroid. They began teaching each other the principles of restraint and judgment that the asteroid had instilled in them. Careful observation. Strategic patience. Influence without exposure. Their actions became deliberate and precise, always considering the long-term effects on both civilizations and the galaxy's balance. As they traveled, they encountered new challenges. Systems destabilized by natural phenomena. Rogue fleets acting independently. Collapsing star systems threatening populated planets. Each situation required careful assessment. The humans consulted the asteroid, blending their judgment with its ancient awareness. Interventions were subtle, shifting gravity to stabilize planets, redirecting debris to prevent collisions, guiding fleets without revealing themselves. Each success reinforced the humans' understanding of true power. The empire that had once pursued them remained a distant threat. Its leaders had begun to suspect that something extraordinary was occurring in space, but every investigation yielded no proof. Anomalies could be explained away, evidence vanished, and witnesses misremembered events. The humans' influence remained invisible, and their power continued to grow. The galaxy was beginning to recognize their presence not through knowledge, but through consequence. Systems improved. Trade routes stabilized. Threats disappeared quietly. Humanity had become a guardian without declaration. One human spoke aloud during a quiet moment in the control room. "We're no longer just surviving. We're shaping the galaxy." The crew nodded. It was true. They had started as explorers, buying a scrap ship and discovering a living asteroid. Now, they were protectors, stewards of power, and arbiters of balance. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, yet they had the ability to guide it safely without revealing themselves. The asteroid pulsed gently, acknowledging the statement. It had chosen the humans because they demonstrated restraint, care, and understanding. It now shared its full awareness with them, revealing patterns of energy, gravity, and matter across entire star systems. With this knowledge, the humans could anticipate disasters, prevent conflicts, and protect life on scales previously unimaginable. They were no longer observers. They were active participants in the fate of the galaxy. Over time, humanity's reputation continued to change. They were no longer considered weak or insignificant. Traders, colonies, and even rival empires began to sense that humans were capable of extraordinary influence. Stories of luck, protection, and mysterious interventions circulated widely, though no one knew the true source. Fear mixed with respect. Caution became the standard when humans were involved. Without firing a shot or issuing a command, humanity had transformed its position in the galaxy forever. The humans understood that this was only the beginning. Challenges would come. Threats would rise. Curiosity and greed would continue to seek the asteroid's power. Yet the lessons of restraint, patience, and subtle influence had prepared them. They were no longer simple explorers. They were guardians. They were partners with an ancient intelligence, capable of protecting life, guiding systems, and shaping events without domination. In the quiet of deep space, as stars drifted past and systems flourished under unseen guidance, the humans felt a profound sense of purpose. The galaxy would continue to change, and humanity's role would grow. The asteroid, once bound and forgotten, now pulsed freely, its intelligence intertwined with the humans' judgment and care. Together, they would watch, protect, and guide. Humanity had begun its new journey, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as guardians of the galaxy, wielding a power that was invisible, ethical, and enduring. And so, as the ship glided silently through the void, the humans and their living asteroid remained vigilant. They would intervene when necessary, safeguard life where possible, and ensure that balance endured. The galaxy had been forever changed, not by war or domination, but by careful choices, wisdom, and the partnership between humanity and an intelligence older than time itself. Humanity had become something extraordinary. Silent protectors, the unseen guardians of the stars.